Cynthia's 70th. My remarks will be a little different than those I delivered last Saturday at a surprise birthday party for her. And I think there are two couples, the Ropelands and the Sowers, who were there then. So please forgive me. This will be a little bit repetitious, not totally. And of course, we all know Cynthia loves, apparently, repetition. So she's in no position to complain. First, lest I forget and my emotions get carried away, I want to thank Jim and Monica Ropeland for putting this together. They've been a big part of our life for 18 years now. Cynthia and I truly hope they will be a big part for the next 18, and after that we could care less. Yeah. but thank you. I also want to thank my daughter Kirsten. You have not perhaps all seen the 3 cakes she made from scratch. They're unbelievable. They look like they belong in a Tiffany window. They're just gorgeous. And she put a lot of effort in this for tonight. I thank you, Kirsten. Now, when I first met Cynthia for the second time, it was Super Bowl Sunday, January 21, 1979. I was watching the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Dallas Cowboys, then the reigning world champions, 35-31, at the lounge area of the East River Tennis Club on Long Island City, overlooking the skyline of Manhattan. I was single. Now, you're not going to believe it, but my first wife, having unbelievably decided the grass was greener, went on her way. So after that, I suppose I was feeling a bit sorry for myself and down. And those of us who knew me then knew I really wasn't my former, I won't say gay friend, gay sociable guy, but I really wasn't myself after my divorce. And so here I am watching this Super Bowl game in a restaurant run in this tennis club by a very close friend who introduced us. Cynthia walked by. We had met, let's say, 2 years earlier, 4 years earlier. Okay. You correct my story anytime you want. The summer was 12. So we met like 4 years earlier, but we were both then married and whatever. So fast forward 4 years, and whatever comes later, you're about to hear. And Cynthia walks by and says something to me like, "Hey, big boy." That was her demur. Yeah. But she did call me by name. And as the lyrics of West Side Stories Maria says, my life has never been the same. For now I had someone to cherish and adore. As most of you know, I'm Irish. And to this day I maintain that the green hot pants she was wearing that night had nothing whatever to do. Nothing whatever to do. This is the Donna Summer. And the pants she was wearing that night had nothing to do with my immediate physical attraction. Cynthia was then a successful, albeit struggling, single mom. Kirsten was then probably 6 or 7 years old. Cynthia lived in Queens, I lived in Manhattan, but once we met, we became inseparable. We closed literally every restaurant we went to, or bar that we went to that first week in Manhattan, and we just had a whirlwind first week together. It's been downhill ever since. In thinking about that week, the one thought that I couldn't not say was that a film editor would have a very hard time taking out enough parts of that week to get an R rating.
Her daughter is in the room.
I was then, translate that all you want. I was then a Wall Street litigator representing American Express and a hostile tender offer for McGraw-Hill. Cynthia was then the right arm of the chairman of Bulova, who was then being subject to a takeover by a hostile tender offer. So we have a lot in common to talk about on the intellectual side.
Can we get back to the green pants?
Yeah.
How about the R rating? Intellectual, sexual,
And along the way, I made Cynthia a tender offer myself. That she could not refuse. When I got Cynthia, I was a smart shopper because she came with a package. She came with little Kirsten, 6 or 7 then, who I was thrilled, maybe 10, 11 years later, to be able to adopt at age 16, after I'd been unofficially her parents, her father, for a decade. Cynthia and Kirsten were a twofer. And they proved to be a very smart acquisition for me. Cynthia was then and is now someone I adore. She had the same endearing qualities back then, despite some of these comments, that she has now. Integrity, a sense of humor, charm, personal warmth, a friendly and loving nature, certainly a nurturing nature, certainly a tactile nature, and I've been the beneficiary of that over a lot. An inquisitive nature, a great listener, but more than a great listener, a great talker. That bears repeating. Cynthia's been a great... And she's got great street smart and a person eager for new adventures, which is always true. And I could go on and on with her virtues, but we really don't want to hear about her virtues. Suffice it to say, she's the love of my life. She's made my life so much richer by allowing me to be part of hers. She's made me so much more human than before I met her. She is clever. She adopted the age-old female ploy, of saying, I love you, you're perfect, now let me tell you how I'm going to change. and because I'm stubborn, I fought her for a while, and then I came to my senses and realized that like a good husband, I should follow her direction. But I know that she's changed me for the better, and I love her for that. I've been with her now 33 years, and those years have totally eclipsed whatever came before. But as we indicated, there's someone in this crowd who's known Cynthia longer, that's Ron Sauer. And I'm not bitter about that, Ron. But I wish I truly had met her earlier so we'd had more years together. Ron was the reason we first came to Wilmington, probably in 79 or 80, for the wedding of his daughter. And Cynthia and I, of course, were slow learners, so we didn't move here until 95. And I assure you all, and remember that's 2 words, not 1 word. We've been very fortunate to have chosen Wilmington and to have lived here as long as we have. Ron may have been one of our first reasons for coming here and continue today to be one of our sources of happiness. But Cynthia and I have been blessed with many more close friends, and we thank you all. Many of you are here tonight, obviously. We thank you all for coming. Cynthia and I are both very happy with our lives now. We're surrounded by many loving friends and a community of faith. Now, don't get me wrong, living with Cynthia has not always been a piece of birthday cake. For example, I've lived through a number of emergency room visits with Cynthia for her foibles. 2 instances that come to mind are that night in Manhattan when she decided that the best way to stop a rapidly spinning Cuisinart blade was with her index finger, which then became sort of a smoothie. And we lived a block away from Manhattan Hospital, and they somehow put it back together. I also had the good fortune to visit Cynthia in the emergency room of the Greenwich Hospital in February when she was shaking violently, head to toe, with hypothermia, a body temperature unbelievably low, dangerously low, after she decided to rescue somebody else's drowning dog, a golden Labrador, from a hole in the ice in a beautiful frozen pond that was our backyard. Her entire body was so cold when I first got to see her that the attending physician told me they could not even run the battery of tests they needed to run to see if there was going to be irreparable permanent damage until she warmed up enough for me to do the test. Meanwhile, of course, my dog, in that moment, was also frozen stiff, and they're putting hot water in the dog. I didn't know which room to go to first.
She was in the bath?
So, for those of you who think of Cynthia as a warm person, she was not always that warm and loving. Oh, by the way, the methodology she employed to rescue somebody else's dog was so well thought out, so carefully planned, that she wound up having to rescue my dog from the same frozen pond with her first little Bichon named Bonnie. And not content to accomplish her heroic mission to save dog one, while staying in the relative safety of the canoe in this frozen lake, she decides she has to jump herself into this frozen pond. Now, she hadn't been drinking this as a kid, so she jumps herself into this frozen pond, and then tries to rescue two dogs with bloody hands chopping their way through the ice to save that dog and hers. She proved her courage, but not her planning skills. And then there was the times when crazy church group or social ladies group made Cynthia the group treasurer. Because they thought she could balance the checkbook. After 31 years of marriage, and a few more of that hanging around together, I've given up totally on that goal. Just as I've given up on trying to teach her to turn the oven off after she finishes cooking something. Even last night, on the last day of her 69th year, she leaves the oven on. Kirsten's got to tell her to turn it off.
Sorry.
Oh, and lest I forget to mention, she loves to put newspapers or stacks of paperwork and bills on our kitchen countertop cooktop. And now that might be okay if she knew which burners went with which knobs. But she will decide to have a cup of decaf or something, and randomly, apparently, choose a knob. And forget the Wilmington Star News on the big burner. Maybe if I could somehow train her to put the car keys and her phone in the microwave or the oven, she'd know where they were and remember to be able to find them and turn something on or off on time. So I don't want you to think that my entire life with Cynthia has been great. But as Cynthia likes to say, when you're going downhill, you tend to pick up speed. My father in his 80s and 90s had this wonderful expression where my dad is a charmer. He said, well, we're lost, but we're making a good time. And by analogy, that describes a lot of the time Cynthia and I had together. We've sort of been lost, but we've been happy. And I don't know whether you're on uphill or downhill, but we've been lost. We wish we could have skipped a few years here and there, but ever since we met, it's been terrific. So we've been through a lot together, but our relationship today is as strong as it's ever been. We truly are good for each other, and we thank God we have the wisdom to know that we're smart enough to know that. Cynthia and I hope we have many more years to share together. We both totally independent on our subjects. We want to dance or grab some footage, which is probably 20 years off. So I don't want to be married to a 90-year-old lady. and I've got a backup plan just in case. And she's encouraged me to have a backup plan. As soon as I heard that, I had none. But you just can't predict the future. So Cynthia, honey, here's to you and your family. May you enjoy your birthday and many more for the best is yet to come. And as I told you a long time ago, I was always love you. And it was true then, it's true now. Now, there's a little cake.
Yeah. No. Oh, of course she has something to say.